Call to order the regular meeting of the Dickinson City Commission for Tuesday, September 1st, 2020. Let the record show that we have 3 commissioners present, myself, Commissioner Walla, and Commissioner Soboluk. Commissioners missing this evening will be Vice President Frederick and Commissioner Oderman. So we will continue with the order of business. Mrs. Carlson, are there any changes to the order of business?
Thank you, President Decker and Commissioners. Yes, there is some changes to the order of business. Under 3 Administration, we will be adding 1 more report presented by me on HR positions. Under Planning, number 7, we will be removing 7B and 7C. And that would be all the changes.
Okay. Any questions for Mrs. Carlson on the amendments to our order of business? Hearing no questions on the amended order of business, I'd look for a motion on the amended order of business.
Mr. President, I'll move to approve.
We have a motion to approve the amended order of business by Commissioner Walla. Second by Commissioner Soboluk. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor of the amended order of business state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item up is the consent agenda. Commissioners, are there any items on the consent agenda you wish to talk with staff about? There are no questions on the consent agenda. I'd look for a motion on the consent agenda. We have a motion by Commissioner Soboluk to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Walla. Any further questions, comments on the consent agenda? Hearing no questions or comments, we'll go ahead and vote. Mrs. Soboluk? Aye. Ms. Walla?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. We'll move into the administration and finance part of the agenda this evening. And we have 2 updates from Attorney Wenko.
Mr. President, Commissioners, first on the agenda item is the update regarding the Odyssey Theater. As you probably recall and remember, the city had voted on July 7th to exercise the temporary right to repurchase. Immediately following that meeting, the city, including myself, made contact with the Odyssey representatives regarding the paperwork to complete that transaction. Various documents went back and forth. It was later on July 22nd that I was informed that Odyssey was going to look to have litigation counsel review the transaction and determine what their legal position was going to be. And at that point, I was informed several weeks later that Odyssey had retained attorney Randy Sickler to assist them through this process. I have been in contact with Attorney Sickler. He was hoping to have information to me today so that I could update the meeting, update the commission with Odyssey's position with regard to the TRR. He was not able to get back in touch with me with that information today. So what he did indicate to me that they were diligently researching Odyssey's legal positions on this, and he's hoping to get back in touch with me later this week. So as a professional courtesy, I extended him the opportunity to review the paperwork that I had sent over to him. Right now, we are waiting to hear from Mr. Sickler as to what Odyssey's legal position is with regard to the TRR. And I would stand with any questions that any of the commissioners have.
Any questions for Mrs. Wenko? Okay.
So I guess I would like to ask, with the temporary right to repurchase, there was the right to repurchase
Commissioner Sobolek, that's a good question. Right now, I can't give you a good answer on that because I haven't seen Attorney Sickler's response. Obviously, the city acted on the contract knowing that the deadline had passed. So we just kind of have to wait and see at this juncture to see what position Odyssey will take. I think that as this moves forward, this may be something that would require potentially an executive session. I don't know that at this juncture, but it's something that we will continue to work forward. But I will be able to report back with more details once I hear from Attorney Sickler on what Odyssey's position is with regard to the TRR. My understanding is that they had some questions about the expenses that they incurred with regard to this transaction. So that's as much as I can inform you of as of right now. Like I said, depending on how this continues to evolve, it may be something that, like I said, we have to do an executive session to discuss. But again, for further discussion later.
Then I have one question, is the technicality on executive session, could that be called outside of this meeting, or does that need to be part of one of our main city commission meetings?
Commissioner Sobolek, that can be done outside of the main city commission meeting. Just proper notice must be given per the Century Code, but it is something that we could set aside specifically to discuss if necessary.
Any other questions for Mrs. Winko? Okay, I think we can move on to the Dickinson Elks parking lot.
Mr. President, Commissioners, with regard to the Dickinson Elks parking lot, as we discussed, I believe, a couple meetings ago, the city approved the signing of the quitclaim deed to transfer the property, that parking lot, back to Dickinson Elks because that contract for deed had been satisfied. We had received the last known address of record for the company from the attorney that represented the company out of Grand Forks. We sent a copy of the letter, including the original original quitclaim deed to the organization for execution. A couple weeks ago, we were notified that that came back undeliverable. We were able to ascertain a North Dakota address for Dickinson Elks LLC. So we have sent the deed to that address, and we're hoping that that will be delivered and signed and recorded. So that's the status of that as of right now.
Any questions for Mrs. Winko on this the Dickinson Elks LLC parking lot update? Okay. Thank you for those updates. Mrs. Carlson, you have a report.
Thank you, President Decker. The report that I'm adding is a request to the commissioners as far as our HR department. We have a position that is a person employed that's going to be leaving, and that position has been posted. And with that, we have been getting quite a few applicants. It's only been open for a day or so, and we've already got 16 applicants. What I'm asking the commissioners is to approve or discuss about possibly doing just what we had arranged in our budget process. We had approved the HR specialist in there, and because this is a great opportunity at this time to be, and the applicants that are coming in, I am asking if at the end of this session, when we do our applicants, that we could look for both positions. These are general fund positions, and with the budget money that we have in 2020 that's available at this time, we would be able to fund that positions without asking any more for any more money. And so that's what I want to bring forward. Right now, we are just have that position opened up right now, but I am looking at support from the commissioners to be able to do both positions. At this time, Shelley, as the coordinator, Ms. Dominick, she cannot run all the HR. She just cannot. With the NeoGov, what's going on with the EEOC's trainings and things that are going on, we need help. And So I'm just asking at this opportunity because we've gotten really good applicants coming in. And this would be a great opportunity instead of her taking 6 months training and then doing another 6 months training for over a year, and we're gonna get way behind in our NeoGov and in our HR processes of things. So something I would like to bring up. And any questions that you may have on that?
Well, we identified in sitting down in the 2021 budget, the importance of having an additional HR representative. And I think if we are getting that type of application pool right now, we have those kind of qualified individuals, we should take advantage of that. We do have the funding available for both the positions. So I would be in favor. I don't know how you feel, the other commissioners feel, but I would be in favor if we have the talent pool there, we should take advantage of it and get those positions locked up.
I agree. That way she only has to train once. Hopefully.
I agree. Could I just clarify, so what you're looking at doing is that HR specialist that we approved for next year's budget, you just add them today versus sometime next year, or add them soon, that would be sometime next year?
Correct. We would fund them in the rest of 2020 with the money that we have available in our general fund.
Okay, yeah, I would be in agreement with that.
Do we need a motion? Attorney Winkle?
I would suggest that the commission make that.
Okay.
So we're looking at a motion to add the additional position that we approved for 2021 to our 2020 budget. So I'd look for
I'll
that
motion.
motion.
I'll motion to approve it.
Okay. We have a motion to approve.
And I'll second it.
We have the second. So a motion to approve by Commissioner Walla, second by Commissioner Sobeluk. Any further questions, comments on this hiring process? Go ahead and vote. Ms. Walla,
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk,
Aye.
chair votes aye, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll move into engineering, and we have a mill and overlay 2021, the approval of the locations, and that'll be handled by Assistant City Engineer Marshik.
President Decker, Commissioners, what we bring before you is work towards our 2021 mill and overlay project. We have been working, we being city staff, with KLJ, trying to determine areas within our community that need this type of maintenance and yet fit into our budget. We have had multiple areas, 6 in fact, that our consultant has designated as possible locations. And those areas, we would do what we've done the previous couple years, which is look at new asphalt pavement with needed concrete repairs as far as curb and gutter and sidewalk and infills of those curb and gutter and sidewalk. So I'm trying to get to my next slide here. It makes it a little difficult on the screen to see the colors. However, your packets did include this. And it shows the 6 zones that we looked at with KLJ that were in need of maintenance. In discussing this with staff, we noted that Zone 5, which is in the southwest area, has some utility projects that we would like to get done before we would come through and mill and overlay this area. So we kind of took that off the table. And there's some other areas that we worked through just with budgeting numbers. And what we came up with is a proposal to work on Zone 1 in 2021. That would work within our budget, and it falls in the recommended area. So city staff recommends approval of Zone 1 for our 2021 mill and overlay project area, and we would like to get your consensus on that location. Do you have any questions for us? We do have Carl Jackson and Andrew Krebs with KLJ in the audience that could also take questions.
How, I guess how time sensitive is this? We only have 3 commissioners here.
Sure.
Okay, so my thing is, and not that the 3 of us don't have questions, but there might be 2 others that have questions too about this selection. So I'm wondering if is this something that we can move to the next meeting when all the commissioners are here?
Actually, let me ask Mr. Jackson to come up and help us with the timeline, because the next portion of our discussion was to talk about assessing the curb and gutter and sidewalk like we have done this year. And I'm not sure what that timeline looks like with getting everything together that we would need if we go forward with a special assessment district. Could you speak to that,
Sure.
Carl, please?
Yeah, President Decker and Commissioners, a 2-week delay would not be the end of the world for this project. Last year, when we were going through the SID creation process for the current project, we got caught with it occurring around the Christmas season, and we ended up bidding it a little later, so we're trying to get a head start on that, but 2 weeks shouldn't make a big difference.
My preference would be to have the full commission here to look at it and ask questions. So,
Would you recommend tabling that then, both of these items that we have on here? The questions?
That would be my recommendation. The commissioners, how do you feel about tabling it?
I'm fine with that. I probably have a question, but it's not. I don't know if it pertains to this.
Ask a question.
Ask a question. Just because my parents live in the area of Zone 1, and there's a lot of drainage issues. It's like in the wintertime, is that going to be addressed with the sidewalk and gutters and the mill and overlay? Just because the pools of water, like when the streets turn, like Benton and Allen, and I know Tweeton Place has had issues with water in the past.
I know we specifically had talked about Tweeton, but with our budget, we were going to move that off to another year. But Carl, how much do we dig into that when we're looking at design? How much do we look at stormwater as an issue?
Just because I'm assuming that affects the road conditions as well.
Right. Commissioner Wallet, actually during the recent rainstorms, we've been out taking photos and documenting where there's ponding water and whatnot. So we're not doing major utility upgrades, including storm drain systems underground, but where we know there are bird baths and bellies in the curb and everything, we'll fix all that stuff at this time.
I think Tweeton Place is a concern. Every one of the commission has probably been contacted by those individuals. It just pools in that cul-de-sac, and you basically have an ice skating rink in a couple of people's.
President Decker, if I may too, during our initial discussions, that area was discussed, and we discussed it with our chief of streets, and as well. It's been an issue for a long time. So we have had that conversation in our preliminary review of the areas. I guess if it is a higher priority, then we can assess it a little bit more and look at it a little closer, possibly if the commission wants.
I do think if there's a risk of, like this heavy rain that we just had, and we risk not fixing it correctly, going in and fixing it, I think we should maybe have a little bit more time to look at it and see what it would take to fix it. So. But I would, like I said, my recommendation would be to table this until the next commission meeting. So.
I'm good with that.
Mrs. Sobeluk, any comments, questions?
No, I don't, thank you.
Okay. So I'd look for a motion to table these items.
I'll move the table the item.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Sobeluk to table the mill and overlay for 2021.
I'll second.
Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote. Mrs. Sobeluk? Ms. Walla?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. That item is tabled. Next item up is the Westridge Drive, State Avenue and 8th Street Pavement Marking Project.
President Decker, Commissioners, this item is a notice of award for the aforementioned pavement management or pavement marking project, which is city project number 2019-15. Those bids were received and opened on August 13th of 2020, and only one bid was received from Traffic Safety Services Incorporated. The total bid price was $306,683.05, which was actually $44,373.65 lower than the engineer's estimate. Engineering staff is recommending approval of the notice of award for Westridge, 8th Street Southwest, and South State Avenue pavement marking project. Do you have any questions?
Commissioners, any questions for Mrs. Marshak or Mr. Schrank? I know he's in the audience. I guess my only question is, we are going to, and I think I brought this up last time, we are going to clarify what we have out there, right? 1 lane or 2 lanes out on Westridge with the paving, with the striping this time, so there's no confusion, because I think
Yes.
there was
Westridge-
some confusion before if it was a 2-lane road or a 1 lane.
Right, and I guess I was thinking of South State, so, but
Right.
there's a portion of Westridge. Yes, it will be a single lane each way.
Okay.
And that project is proceeding
Right.
fairly quickly, right?
Yeah, I drove out there
Yep.
the other day and it looked pretty good, so. Okay, any other questions? Now I look for a motion.
Mr. President, I'll move to approve.
We have a motion to approve the Westridge Drive, State Avenue and 8th Street paving marking project. With a second. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll vote. Ms. Walla?
Aye.
Mrs. Sobeluk? Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Zuroff, you have a underpass project.
Yes, President Decker, Commission, thank you. In your packet, you have a TAPCO contract, an agreement. It's a work and sales agreement with TAPCO, the company. They will supply equipment and perform the installation and coordination of some signage and level indicators for our underpass. This includes the level indicators and 2 signs that will flash when the water gets high, of high water warnings, high water road closed when flashing. Also, the high level indicators will connect to our, be a close contact out to our SCADA system, so it will alarm and activate our SCADA also. This is something we've been looking at for quite a few years, and I think they found a good product here. So hopefully with this, along with continuing to upgrade and improve our pump system, it will help the issues with our underpass.
Any questions for Mr. Zuroff on the TAPCO alarm system?
I just have one question. As I'm reading the first page, it says what's not included is the installation. And you just mentioned that it isn't, so is there discrepancy here, or is it just some, am I reading that?
My understanding is they're scheduled to come out and install the system along with the cabinet, the Wellmont cabinet and control cabinet.
Yeah, I think I see on the first.
Commissioner, Sublic, I'm not, where are you seeing this?
It's in the project summary. She's reading, it says what's not included is the system installation labor.
It's the very bottom.
But it does say that on page 4, it says Pepco on-site to oversee install.
Right, so
That might be something that just needs to be corrected.
I will double check, but my understanding and everything I see, that they're going to come, install it, work with us on our SCADA. We've located where the signs are going to be, so I'll double check that agreement for you.
Perfect. Because then on page, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, on page 3, it says Pepco on-site to oversee install.
Right.
Then 4 lines after that, it says installation not included. So it's very interesting wording on there.
I'll double check, Commissioner. My understanding it was installed.
Okay, is this something you feel comfortable approving? Or do you want the corrected contract? We can make a motion, yeah.
I'm sorry, if we approve it as is, and it would come back with an increased install fee or something, that should come back to us?
Mr. President, Commissioners, I would recommend that you, you could make the motion contingent upon the information being confirmed by the company.
Okay. You comfortable with that, Mrs. Soboluk? Okay. So we have,
Yes, see.
go ahead, nope, go ahead and make your motion.
To approve this contract contingent on what Mr. Blake will say.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay. And Mr. Zaroff will follow up and get us that
Yes,
information.
I'll make sure.
Okay. Okay. So we have a motion by Commissioner Soboluk to approve the contract with a second by Commissioner Walla. Any further comments or questions from Mr. Zaroff? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mrs. Soboluk?
Aye.
Ms. Walla?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Zaroff.
Yep, thank you.
We have a final plat, the Horner Second Subdivision. Mr. Hadley?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President and Commissioners. In your packet, you'll, I don't know where's the lights. How can I read? Anyway, this is the ETZ plat that was approved by the Planning Commission at the last meeting as a 5-acre tract. And really nothing special with it. It's along 34th Street Southwest. It would be Resolution 31-2020. City staff and the Planning Commission recommend approval.
Okay, this is Resolution 31-2020.
2020, yep.
Okay, and we've had public hearing. All right.
This is the first, this is
Oh,
the
okay,
final
this is
approval, so
resolution,
the,
okay.
yeah, yep.
Okay. So are there any questions for Mr. Hadley on this resolution for the Horner Second Subdivision? Hearing no questions, I'd look for a motion.
I'll move to approve the Horner Second Subdivision.
We have a motion by Commissioner Soboluk to approve the Horner Second Subdivision,
Second.
second by Commissioner Walla. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mrs. Soboluk?
Aye.
Ms. Walla?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Mr. Hadley, you have the Alvarado subdivision, and this should be 32, right? 32-2020?
Yes, that's correct, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. Commissioners, this is once again another ETZ plat, single lot. This is a 10-acre site, also along 34th Street Southwest. The Planning Commission heard that at the August 19th meeting as well. City staff and the Planning Commission recommended approval of this, and it would be, once again, Resolution 32-2020.
Thank you, Mr. Hadley. Any questions on Resolution 32-2020? Hearing no questions or comments, I'd look for a motion on the resolution.
I'll move to approve Resolution 32, 2020.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Walla, 32-2020. Second by Commissioner Soboluk. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll vote. Ms. Walla?
Aye.
Mrs. Soboluk? Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Hadley.
Thank you.
We have a 5 o'clock timetable. And that is this evening, we have the swearing in of some officers. Chief Dossinger? I guess you have a fill-in here, or go ahead, Chief Dossinger. Welcome, Captain Ciani.
Well, good evening, everyone. I didn't realize that Chief Dazinger, when he said he's going to be keeping an eye on me at the commission meeting, I didn't realize it was going to be remotely as such. So, that being said, I'm here to introduce you to our 3 newest officers here and present them to be officially sworn in as Dickinson City Police officers. First, we have Officer Jesse Hellinger. Jesse is originally from California, where he graduated from Winters High School in Winters, California. His wrestling background eventually led him to DSU, where he earned a bachelor's in science, social sciences, and criminal justice. Since earning his bachelor's degree, Jesse has continued with his studies and is pursuing a master's degree. Jesse is supported by his wife, Casey, and a fairly recent addition to his family, Anders Hellinger. Jesse began his career with the Dickinson Police Department on February 10th of this year. In June, he was sent to the Law Enforcement Training Academy in Bismarck. Jesse graduated from the academy a few weeks ago and has recently concluded field training in-house. We also have Officer Alex Schrader. Alex is a native of Dickinson and graduated from Dickinson High School. Alex attended BSC, Bismarck State College, for a period of time and has worked in a variety of jobs both in and out of the area before following the calling of the law enforcement profession. Alex began his career with the Dickinson Police Department in April of this year. In June, he was also sent to the Law Enforcement Training Academy in Bismarck. He graduated from the academy a few weeks ago with Jesse. Alex was nominated by his fellow law enforcement classmates to represent his graduating class as part of the commencement speakers. Alex is currently in the latter stages of the internal field training program. Lastly, we have Jarrett Makett. There was a little snafu in scheduling for Jarrett. He was scrambling to get his uniform on and hoping to make it down here. Between him and his supervisor, there was a drop in communication. I will introduce him anyway, and hopefully he'll come in a little bit late. Officer Jarrett Blaine. Jarrett is originally from Montana, where he graduated from Powder River County High School. Jarrett continued with his education at Oklahoma Wesleyan University, where he graduated with a bachelor's degree in global studies and a minor in communications. He enlisted in North Dakota Army National Guard in August of 2019 as a combat medic. Jarrett is supported by his wife, Georgia. Jarrett started with the Dickinson Police Department in August of this year, very fresh. He is currently in the beginning stages of the internal field training program and is slated to attend North Dakota Law Enforcement Training Academy later this fall.
He's here.
He just entered.
There he is. If you'd like, I'll put him in front leaning rest and he can hold that position for a while.
He can push till I'm tired.
Okay, with that, Linda, I'd ask that you come and,
Or maybe we should have his supervisor push till we're both tired.
Jarrett? Alex? And Jesse. Okay, with those certificates, I will swear you in so you can follow along with the things. Ready? Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Jarrett Blaine,
Will support, obey, and defend the Constitution
will support, obey, and defend the Constitution
and the laws of the United States, the state of North Dakota, and the city of Dickinson,
and the laws of the United States, state of North Dakota, and the city of Dickinson,
to the best of my ability, and that I will strive always to meet the highest ethical standards
to the best of my ability, and that I will strive always meet the highest ethical standards
implicit in my employment and in the furtherance of the best public interest.
implicit in my employment and in the furtherance of the best public interest.
Congratulations. You can sign yours and I'll sign it. No, we'll get you a new one. And why don't you mark it out and put how it's actually supposed to be? And you guys are okay? And then you get to do the big thing. You get to introduce yourselves, so you can take turns up to the mic and introduce yourselves. Okay, I'll take yours back and we'll get your new one. That's what you get for being late. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, whoever wants to go first, gentlemen, go ahead.
Hello, I'm Jesse Hellinger. Like Captain Ciani said, I'm originally from California. I came to Dickinson in 2011 for college. Went to DSU for a few years, graduated, got my bachelor's degree. Kind of moved around for a little bit. I ended up marrying my wife on June 12th, 2019. Then we have our bundle of joy that was come to us 9 months to the day later on March 12th. And my family and I are just very excited to be working for the city of Dickinson and able to give back to the town that's given so much to me. Thank you, guys.
Welcome aboard.
I'm Alex Schrader. Like you were told, from Dickinson originally. I left after graduating high school, and after a few years of running around the Minot area, I decided to come back after my sister had a baby and be kind of a better part of the family, and found out that law enforcement is something I wanted to do, so I'm excited to be back where I grew up and hopefully be able to stick around a while.
Well, welcome aboard.
My name is Jarrett Blaine. Just want to apologize for my tardiness. I originally grew up in Broadus, Montana, so not too far from here, and got married to my wife, and she came to college here, and that's why I moved to Dickinson. And I've always had a passion to serve people and to just be a part of a community. So police officer seemed like the right fit, and so here I am. Awesome, and thankful for this opportunity. So, thank you.
Well, welcome aboard. Thank you for your service. Thank you, gentlemen. This is also the period of time if the public wishes to call in and has any comments or concerns that are not on our agenda. That number to call in is 701-456-7006.
The conference is currently empty. You will hear silence or music on hold when connected.
If there's anybody in the audience that has any concerns or comments for the commission to hear that are not on our agenda, please come forward and let us know your concerns.
Hi, I'm Darcy Kovash, a Dickinson resident, and I am not a public speaker, so I'm very nervous. And I'm glad the police officers left. I thought I was in trouble. Anyway, I just want to start on a positive note. Every morning when I sit on my patio in Dickinson, I look at the incredible blue skies. We have no smog. We have very little violence. We have no riots. And to me, it's a blessing to be living in Dickinson, North Dakota at this time in 2020. And I also feel we're very fortunate because we have a lot of really good things to be grateful for. I mean, we have a new hospital, we have a new police station, Sanford's, rodeo grounds, state-of-the-art Catholic schools, state-of-the-art middle school, DSU, rec center, swimming pool, the museum center, the Veterans Memorial Building. Their grounds are just beautiful. which is kind of why I'm here. So when I drive by, and I actually talked to Rita today, who really wanted me to come to this meeting, and I didn't know if I could do this, but I'm here. So I drive by Villard, I drive by First Avenue, Second Avenue, First Street, Second Street, Sims, States, and I see so many untrimmed trees, crooked trees, trees with tree growth on the bottom, weeds coming out of the cracks of the concrete, very few, buckets of flowers. I mean, there's, to me, and I'm a neat freak, so I'll be the first to admit that, and I don't expect everybody to be like me. It's probably a good thing that most people aren't. But I just feel we need to just up our game in Dickinson, because I think there's really a lack of attention to detail, and we just need some TLC in this town. I go to Bismarck often because my son lives there, and their downtown area it's neater. And I just feel we need to start something to kind of, to make it look a lot better than it is. And I think it has to start with businesses, because there's a lot of residential property that is very run down. And I was a real estate agent for 20 years. So, I've kind of seen the whole town all the way around. But I think it has to start with businesses, because businesses have to be the example. And I think there's just a lot of things that we could be doing. I guess, I actually wrote this about, 5 to 7 years ago, because I've been wanting to come here and do this for a while, but just didn't get to it, and didn't know if I had the courage to do it. But I would say, I'm just going to read a little bit of what I wrote a long time ago. The city of Dickinson and local businesses need to take a look at the outside appearance of their property before expecting residents to shop Dickinson. And there was a Shop Dickinson, what would you call it? A Shop Dickinson campaign a few years ago. And I guess I just say to myself, businesses need to give residents a good reason to shop Dickinson. And I just think the appearance, the outside appearance especially, because that's what first draws in customers, they need to up their game, because there's a lot of them that are not taking care of the exterior, the frontages of their businesses. And I just know it's not like that everywhere. I know Bismarck downtown is much nicer. Williston's downtown is much nicer. They put a lot of work into it. And a lot of times it's, I hate to say it, but it's just lack of ambition. It doesn't take that much work to trim the growth on the bottom of your trees in front of a business. It doesn't take that much work to spray the weeds in the cracks of the sidewalks. It doesn't really take that much to put a pot outside your door with some flowers and a welcome sign. So I just think we need to do something. I think we need a beautification project in this town. I think we need a grant to help pay for it, a name of the beautification project, and get something started. And I even thought like a tax incentive to businesses who really are a class act and a great example to other businesses. So there's just a lot of things that I think the city of Dickinson could do to just enhance our city, because we are really very blessed where we live. But I think there just seems to be a lack of enthusiasm on the part of businesses to like really make the exterior of their businesses beautiful. And so I guess that's why I'm here. And I hope you guys talk about it and think about it, and thank you for my time.
Well, thank you for your comments, and as duly noted, we will make sure that the departments that are in charge of beautification are notified that they need to up their game.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments, questions? Any items that were not on the agenda this evening? Please come forward, state your name, or call in to 701-456-7006. Seeing no one and hearing no one calling in, we'll close the public comments. We'll move into item D now with Mr. Josephson. It is our Chapter 39 Amendment, Downtown Overlay District.
Good evening, Mr. President, Commissioner Steve Josephson, Planner. I just wanted to take a second before you act on this, just a little explanation. There's a couple new commissioners, who've been on since this part of the zoning code was approved back in 2016. The reason the overlay district was approved was there are a large number of single-family homes in the downtown core area. See that the area where the black line is, and the vast majority of those properties are zoned commercial. Those are considered non-conforming uses in commercial zoning. So if they would have burned down or have been destroyed, they would not have been able to be built back. A number of people ran into issues trying to get loans and could not get them, and these are viable single-family homes. So based upon a recommendation in the comprehensive plan, the staff brought forward, planning and zoning recommended approval, and the city approved an overlay district. The primary reason was to make single-family homes in those commercial zoning districts legally conforming uses, so that the city could say these can be built back to the way they, the same footprint. It recognizes single-family residential within that area. At the time, there was a 1.5 block area that was left out. It was a little notch, approximately between 2nd Street East over to 3rd Avenue East, and then First Street East. There was about a 1.5 block that was left out of that area. This is just a cleanup to add that 1.5 block area in. I think there had been some plans to do a project in that area that has since passed, and there have been inquiries of the planning director Hadley can tell you this, where people had inquired about buying single-family homes in that 1.5 block area, and were told that currently it was a legally non-conforming use and could not be built back. So this is a first reading of an ordinance. I don't have an ordinance number for it, but this is the first reading of an ordinance that both staff and Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, this should be ordinance 1700, if I'm correct. Yep. It is 1700. So are there any questions, commissioners, on this overlay district? Mr. Josephson said this cleaning up some language and making sure some areas included so that their residents are still viable. So if there are no questions for Mr. Josephson, I'll go ahead and look for a motion, because we'll have the public hearing at the second reading. So we have a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 1700, which is Chapter 39 amendment to our downtown overlay district.
Second.
With the second. The motion to approve was made by Commissioner Sobeluk. The second was by Commissioner Walla. Are there any further questions or comments? Hearing none, go ahead and vote. Mrs. Sobeluk? Ms. Walla?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion
Thank
carries.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph. We'll move into the commission segment, and there are two items in the commission segment this evening. And the first item up is the city administrator, the community panel, and discussion on the process. I brought up the process we are going through right now with the city administrator applications. We are finalizing our top 10 list. Those individuals will be notified this week, and they will be notified of a Skype interview. Once that Skype, there will be a panel for the Skype interview, which there have been 5 individuals selected for that Skype interview. And once we get through the Skype interview, HR will also be part of that process, and we'll go through the Skype interviews. Our top 5 or 6 will be selected, and they will proceed to be interviewed by the commission, by a community panel, and they will be taking tours with the executive team at the same time, rotating. I don't know, Mrs. Nominick, were you able to send this to Mrs. Sobluck? Okay. Right now, that tentative date will be for a meet and greet on the 30th of September with the interviews taking place on October 1st. Now, there are some outlying conditions that might occur that we might have to push it back 2 weeks, but we'll give proper notice if those items arise. And so I guess I will open it up because this is something you commissioners have asked for to discuss. Two commissioners. If we have more than 2, then it's a meeting. We have to advertise it as a meeting. They will meet with the executive team, Mrs. Sobluck, but not as a team. They will meet with them individually. Each executive will give tours of their departments to the individuals. Yes, you are correct. Well, I have asked 7 individuals to be on the panel, and 5 have agreed so far, so. I have a representative from DSU. I have asked from DSU, DPS, from Southwest Water, from Parks and Rec. There's a member from the energy sector, a member from the business community, and trying to think of the 7th member. Oh, from the legislature. And 5 out of the 7 have agreed to be on the panel so far. And on the Skype interview, there are representatives on the Skype too from organizations outside of the commission. So there will be a member of the Stark Development and a member of the CVB on the Skype interviews. Okay. Do you have anything, Ms. Wallace?
No.
Okay. And if the 2 individuals don't return my calls for the community panel, I will take into consideration the names you have submitted and see if they can. So is there anything else, commissioners, on the CA selection?
We need to find out who's in the top 12 or 10 that are meeting this criteria.
I think Mrs. Nominick you can email the commission, the top 12 or 10.
Yep, I can. They
Yeah.
already know. They've seen all the applicants.
Yeah, so if you look at NeoGov, the scoring, you can pretty much tell. So I think that's a pretty good indication in there. So, but if you could just for verification, send out the top 10 to the commission. So. The other item on the commission agenda this evening, that we received a letter from Southwest Health. I had it distributed to the commissioners. It's in your packet. It's just a notification that what the governor is considering as the COVID, certain counties within the state, as they have increased COVID incidents. So just something for the commission to be aware of. And it is just a recommendation from the governor. There are no mandates or policy changes as of right now. So. That was something we'd have to decide on as a commission. That's the form of government we have, is we have to decide as a commission. So if we want any policy changes, ordinances, or resolutions passed, we'd have to do it as a commission.
Which, if this is kind of recommendation, do we want to add that as part of a discussion so we kind of have a plan set up?
We can have that discussion. So
When all the other commissioners are here?
when all the other commissioners are here, I think that would be adequate. So if he does decide that we are one of those counties that are moved into yellow, then I think it would be appropriate to either call a special meeting, or if it falls during our next meeting, we'll have that discussion. So. Are there any other items that, go ahead, Mrs. Soblik. Exactly. But there are individuals that they would like us to shut the city down again. I can tell you that. I receive those calls every day. And I'll tell you this, I'm not in favor of that, so. We need to operate. So are there any other items? Okay, well, I'm sure he appreciates that, and he works hard all year to try to get people involved in the beautification of Dickinson. So we'll have to relay your message to him. Anything else? I have nothing, and I would just look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are adjourned.